It's that time of year again. We're about to start celebrating First Communion for all these wonderful little kids here at St. Ambrose. I know many parishes around the country, as a matter of fact, this is the prime time to celebrate First Communion, the Eucharist. These first time these kids will receive it. And it's a very exciting time, of course, here at the parish. And one of the things I'd like to talk to you about today, as a matter of fact, is some of the things that we use for the Eucharist, at least that I use. And I know I've got a couple questions on it before. Hopefully you'll be seeing pictures show up of what I'm talking about. But here's one picture of some random things that I use during Mass. You'll see that there is my chalice right there, which I'll talk about next, but also the pattens and also the Pall. So I want to talk to you about the three different things going on there. Now, first off, the chalice, this chalice right here, was one that was used by my grandma's cousins. And this one is Father Clement Zweber. You'll be able to see it on the bottom of that chalice right there. It says his name as well as my name on the days that we got ordained. And also my favorite scripture passage, which is Psalm 90 verse 17. Let the favor of the Lord be upon us. Give success to the work of our hands. Give success to the work of our hands. And this is what's on the bottom of that very small chalice of mine. It was replated as a gift from my mom. My mother replated it, and I got those scripture passage in my name and Father Zweber's name on the bottom of it as well. And hopefully one day, maybe, possibly, we'll be able to pass it on to one of my relatives if they ever become a priest. But this is a chalice that I use pretty much every single day here at St. Ambrose and any other church that I go to for the most part. The next thing I want to talk to you about real quick is the patten. You'll notice that there are two different pattens. One is a big patten and one is a small patten. And the patten is where I put the big host. We actually have two different size hosts here at St. Ambrose. One that we use on Sunday so everyone can see that's the big one, so there's a bigger patten for that. And also a smaller host that I use for daily Mass and maybe the school Mass, funerals, weddings, etc. Now, people think, now, Father Carlson, do you eat that whole host all by yourself? As a matter of fact, no, of course the answer is no, especially the big one. Instead, what we do is we break it apart. Now, if the big one, it breaks in many different parts. Now, the small one as well, I break it into four. You don't have to, but I break it into four, and I take one of the small pieces, but I try to make sure that the other pieces are always distributed to someone in the congregation, and not always the same person. So just because you sit in front does not mean you're going to get one of those three hosts. Doesn't mean you're any better or any worse than anyone else. I just like to spread it out to other people, because if possible, you should receive from hosts that are consecrated at that Mass. I try to make sure that happens. Now, the next thing I'd like to talk to you about is the Pall. I know I've got many questions about that at Epiphany and also here at St. Ambrose. Why do I use a Pall? What is the point of a Pall? You'll notice that there are four different ones here. Well, the point of a Pall, at least in the old days, was literally to keep dust and flies out of the chalice. You put it over the chalice so that way you wouldn't have to shoo away flies and everything during the Mass. Now, you may think we're in an air-conditioned build now, there's no flies or dust at Epiphany or at St. Ambrose. Well, to be honest with you, there is sometimes. I'm sure especially those stupid box elder bugs, right? So I put a patten over the chalice so I don't have to start shooing it away throughout the Mass. Also, you'll notice that there's four different designs here. Now, two of them I got from Sister Grace at Epiphany, and they're straight from India. Now, these two I don't use that often, not that I don't like them, they're not in my regular rotation yet, but they'll be there eventually. The other two I'd like to explain to you is the first one is one that I got from the Archdiocese of St. Paul, Minneapolis. And this one, you can tell, is the crest of St. Paul, Minneapolis. We have the two swords representing the twin cities, Minneapolis and St. Paul, and of course the big sword is the Archdiocese. You see the water, the rivers of the Mississippi. The other Pall I'd like to show you is one that is actually the mosaic behind St. John Vianney Seminary. You'll notice that there are 2 fish and 5 loaves right there. As a matter of fact, that's from our scripture reading today for daily Mass. And of course, this is a symbolism of the Eucharist. But for 4 years at St. John Vianney, I pretty much stared at this mosaic, not stared, but it would be in the background right behind the altar at St. John Vianney. And so St. John Vianney tries to give all their alums who are priests this Pall as well. So even the symbolisms on top, they try to help me realize that, that the Eucharist is there. And it's very, very unique and special. And this is why I use it. Very practical reasons. First and foremost, I'm not lying in saying this, is to keep bugs out of the chalice, all right? But also, when I see it, it tries to draw my attention closer to the Eucharist. So that's a little explanation of some of the things that we do here at St. Ambrose, that I do at least at St. Ambrose. And if you have any questions about it, don't be afraid to ask me. I know a couple people have asked me, and after I explained it, they really So I thought it was kind of cool. So I hope it is cool. Once again, that's an explanation of my chalice. It's very small, but it's beautiful. It was used before me, and hopefully it'll be used after me as well. The two different pattens that we have, and once again, that makes sure that when the Eucharist is, I'm not eating the Eucharist all by myself. No, I consecrate not for myself, but for you. And then finally, the Pauls, once again, are very practical, and also they try to draw my mind, at least, to something greater as well. To all those receiving their first communion this week, or next week, or the next couple months or so, congratulations to all my prayers. And for everyone who does receive the Eucharist every single week, isn't that awesome? We get to receive God. How great is that? God bless. We'll talk to you later. Bye.